Good day, everyone. Today we're going to be looking at Unit 5, representing data. So we have 3 vocabulary words: dot plot, bar graph, and histogram. Refer to your vocab sheet for the definition of each of those words. We're going to start off with dot plots. So one way to represent data is by using a dot plot, which is a diagram that shows the frequency of the data on a number line. So let's go ahead and let's try out making our own dot plot. So we want to represent the data as a dot plot. So we're going to start writing the numbers from least to greatest. So the smallest number would be 9. Then we have 11, 11, 12, 12, 12, 13, 13, 13, 14, 15, 15, 15, 15, and 15. Next, we want to make a number line. And when we look at our numbers, our lowest number is 9. Our greatest number is 15. So we're going to make a number line going by ones. Probably going to need to be a little bigger. All right. We're going to start off with 9. Then we're going to go 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now we're going to plot the number of times that number appears. So 9 appears 1 time, so we're going to put 1 dot there. 10 does not appear in our data, so we're not going to use 10. 11 appears 2 times, so 1, 2. 12 appears 3 times, so 1, 2, 3. 13 appears 3 times, so 1, 2, 3. 14 appears only once, and 15 appears 5 times, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So looking at this, we can find our mode right away. Our mode is going to be 15 for this. It's not asking for that, but we could find it. So normally we would title this down here, but they don't give us a title. They just give us the data. So there's nothing to title this, and we're done with making our dot plot. Let's take a look at example 2. So again, we want to create another dot plot here. And this time we do have what we're talking about. So this is the data in the Middle East by percentage. So we want to first start by writing the numbers from least to greatest. Then we're going to make our number line. And then after we make our number line, we're going to plot how many times each of those numbers show up. So let's start off with making our number line from our numbers, put our numbers in order from least to greatest. So we have 22.6. Then we have 28.1, 33, 57.2, 64.6, 65.9, 74.7, 78.6, 78.7, 80.4, 86.1, 91.9, 93.2, and 96.4. Now we're going to start making our number line. Our smallest number is 22, and our largest number is 96.4. And I'm going to actually make a number line, and each of my scale jumps is going to be by 10. So what does that mean? So my first point right here is going to be from 20 to 29.9. My second one is going to be from 30 to 31 or to 39.9. This is a 9. Then we're going to have to 40 to 49.9, 50 to 59.9, 60 to 69.9, 70 to 79.9, then we have 80. Or no, let's erase this part. This one. Put the line back. This was 60, 70, 80, 90. So 80 would be 80 to 89.9, and then 90 to 99.9. And then how many times does each of them happen? So numbers falling between 20 and 29.9 is 2. Between 30 and 39 is 1. Nothing happens in the 40s. In the 50s, we have 1. In the 60s, we have 2. In the 70s, we have 3. In the 80s, we have 2. And then in the 90s, we have 3. So again, this is percent of population. So we have a title for this. So we can title this one. So we titled this one. Let's take a look at example 3. Before we get there, we want to look at bar graphs and histogram. So a bar graph is a graphical display that compares categories of data using bars of different heights. Bar graphs are used when the data are discrete. A histogram is a graphical display that uses bars to display numerical data that has been organized in equal intervals. A histogram represents continuous data, so the bins have no spaces between them, while over here the bars have spaces between them. So let's take a look at example 3. So we want to determine which graph to use. So we're dealing with medals won in the Olympics from 1896 through 2012. And we're going to use a bar graph for this data. The reason we're going to use a bar graph is because we have categories of data, and with categories, we use bars. So we're going to do total medals won. So total medals won. And then we're going to do some numbers over here. So our highest is 800. Then we have 700, 600, 500, 400, 300, 200. Need to come down a little bit. 100. And then 0. So again, this is total medals won. I'm going to come down and then come across at 0. And then we're going to put the different sports. So we have boxing. We have diving. We have swimming. we have track and field, track and field, and then lastly we have wrestling. So now we're going to start making our bars. So boxing has about 100 trophies. Diving has over 100, but not quite 200. Swimming has a little over 500. Track and field has about 700. Notice how each of them is separated with a gap. And then wrestling has a little over 100. So if you want to color these in, you can. If you just want to leave them as they are, you can as well. So there's our bar graph. Again, we used the bar graph because we had categorical data. We had boxing, diving, swimming, track and field, and wrestling. So that's why we represented it with a bar graph. Let's take a look at example 4. So with example 4, we want to determine an appropriate graph again. So we have the results of the top finishers of the 2015 New York City Marathon, wheelchair division. So we have all these times. So I went ahead and put these times in groups, and then I tallied off how many happened in each of those groups. So because this is a continuous result, we're dealing with time, and time keeps going and going and going, we're going to use a histogram to represent the data here. So we have the marathon results. So we have the frequency that it happens. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we're going to put each of these categories. So 130, 131, 132, all the way up to 143. So I'll just put 130 down here. Bring this up a little bit. So 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, 141, 142, and 143. And then we're going to do the results or the amount of people that fell into that category. So the 130 category, that was 2 people. The 131, 132, and 133 did not have anyone, but 134 had 1 person. 135 had 4 people. Notice how I connect it up, and then I go over. 136 had 2 people, so connect it and come over. 137 didn't have anyone. 138 had 1 person. 139 had 3 people, so connect it, come up. 140 had 1 person. 41 and 42 had no one, but 43 also had 1 person. So there we go. It's continuous. That's why it kind of flows as it goes. So go ahead and write a summary here. We talked about line graphs and we talked about bar graphs.